So, some exciting potential news out of Sega the other day. So, Yosuke Okunari is a Sega staffer. This is coming from a Nintendo Life article by Damian McFerrin, who has been heavily involved with many of the company's recent retro ventures, including the Sega Ages line and the Mega Drive Mini, has hinted that the company may tackle a Dreamcast Mini. They said, there was a quote when they were speaking to Famitsu, that he says, next we're considering concepts similar to the Mega Drive Mini. If I had to name some ideas, something like an SG-1000 Mini or a Dreamcast Mini. So that's interesting. They said they won't be able to complete the next mini console this due to its scope by this time next year, or in other words, 2 years. So it probably sometime next year is when we would look at seeing another mini console from Sega. I want a Dreamcast Mini to be a thing so bad, but the way he said it, I would want to know the tone, because saying something like an SG-1000 Mini sounds very jokish to me. I mean, it's interesting, but the market...
No one would buy that here.
The market for something like an SG-1000 Mini would be nothing. At least in the U.S.
For those out there, that's the pre-Master System.
Yeah, pre-Master System.
That's like the Sega ColecoVision, like something in that realm. Yes. You know what I mean? Like,
and honestly, it would be neat. I would play it, but it would be neat. But that's what I'm saying. I don't know if this is, and they continue to joke a little bit.
Well, I was actually joking. Now I'm looking. I said ColecoVision. I'm looking on the Wikipedia. They had Congo Bongo and Sega Galaga and Flicky. So it was like the ColecoVision.
Yes,
that they had. Okay,
yeah, it was.
And Golden 13, which I own.
They continue to joke a little bit. The Famitsu interviewer suggests that they could miniaturize the R360 machine. The R360 is the huge arcade machine that Galaxy Force 2 used that can literally turn you almost upside down.
Oh, holy shit.
When you're in it, it looks like a big sphere. You've never seen an R360?
Was that the one I told you about that used to be on Casino Pier in the late 80s, early 90s?
I think there was like a half one and a full one. Look up R360. Okay. Galaxy Force 2 had some very interesting fucking motion cabinets. But they said that, they joked about maybe even developing a Walk the Dog Mini, because Sega has a dog walking arcade game. But a Dreamcast Mini is something that I think a lot of people have said that they would like to see. And I think a Dreamcast Mini would do very well. I think a Dreamcast Mini would be pretty easy for them to put together too, because
first-party games, they have a lot of them.
Exactly.
Just like the Genesis, they put on a lot of them.
At that point, especially by the time the Dreamcast comes around, they didn't have a ton of support from third-party developers, but Sega's internal teams were firing on all cylinders then. Like, they were putting out some of their best shit. So it would be easy to do even just like an arcade-focused one. You could license Soul Calibur, but you could do Crazy Taxi. You could do Sega Bass Fishing.
Yes, Ian. They'll have bass fishing for you. No, it was a big game.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was on there. But there's also, I think it's very easy to just think of, off the top of my head, tons of Dreamcast titles that would be great on it, including Sonic Adventure, Power Stone.
So you have to get what, Namco involved, Capcom involved a little bit, and license some of that stuff.
Namco and Capcom were the big contributors, and I think
I'm looking at the list right now.
If you get them, I mean, you've got all the fighting games that Capcom put out. So.
You couldn't get the old NFL 2K games because the licensing is gone. Unfortunately, people.
Right.
That's a shame because people love those games. NBA 2K, NFL 2K. Maybe you can get Seaman on there. That'd be interesting.
Would be. You'd need the mic. The Dreamcast Mini with mini microphone included.
Well, that's something we can talk about. The controllers. Would there be a built-in VMU or not on the controllers? This could be expensive.
Yeah,
if you do that,
a little screen.
I would think you would have to have a VMU. That's like sort of part of the character of the Dreamcast.
I feel like you could probably build that in.
That'd be cheap nowadays, wouldn't it?
You could do it. I mean, the Hyperkin put out a Duke controller, the original Microsoft, like the Fat Hands controller.
Okay.
And it has a LCD screen on there that plays the fucking Microsoft startup when you turn it on. So yeah, I mean, you could totally do a dot matrix display for a VMU on there.
I think you could probably do like 30 games do like maybe 15 to 20 15 Sega games, 15 third party, and you could have something that would probably sell like the $80. It would sell like hotcakes if you did this right.
I mean, it would probably be 100. I think it would be 100. I think it'd be 100.
So it didn't work out well for the PlayStation.
Yeah, but it didn't work out well for the PlayStation because the PlayStation was dog shit.
Well, the games were trash.
I mean, they didn't even use the right versions for a lot of those.
They didn't give you the analog controllers either.
But they didn't give you the analog controllers either. But I mean, the TurboGrafx Mini was 100, and it seems to be doing just fine.
Well, I don't know how many they actually sold though. But does it have to be 2 controllers, or if it's too expensive with the VMU, you buy one separately?
I think they would have to do 2 controllers because there was a good amount of multiplayer stuff on there too.
So you definitely need. I'm looking at the Sega published stuff. You got to have Crazy Taxi,
Choo Choo Rocket, Jet Set Radio,
Virtua Tennis for your sports game.
Virtua Tennis has licensed characters in it.
Ah, fuck. They'd have to take out the names.
They'd have to take out the names.
I think they still do it though.
They could, but yeah, that was one that I thought of initially. But yes, it's unfortunately it is licensed.
You're gonna have to have Soul Calibur,
Space Channel 5. I think Space Channel 5 would be an obvious one.
Sonic Adventures, obviously.
The Sonic Adventures, the Power Stones. In terms of fighting games from back then, Dead or Alive 2 was big, but all the Capcom ones, Street Fighter Alpha 3, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, and Double Impact.
I don't think you're going to be able to get all those on there easily, but I think Power Stone would be cheap to get. 1 and 2 would be like, all right, they'll give us those.
Capcom is license heavy. I don't know why you think that would be difficult. They've been doing, they've been...
For the Street Fighter games? Have they been on a lot of these movies?
I mean, we haven't had anything that's really had that, but I'm just saying Capcom Capcom has been willing to work with Nintendo through the SNES and NES minis.
Well, I guess they had it on the Super Nintendo Classic. Then they have Street Fighter 2. So
yeah, they did. I would be surprised if you didn't see Third Strike on there.
How about your Mr. Driller? You get your Mr. Driller?
You could have Mr. Driller on there. Daytona would probably have to be on there. Sega Rally would be on there.
Daytona. Yeah, how did I forget about Daytona? Absolutely. You think they'd be able to get Shenmue on there?
Yes. Shenmue is Sega, so I think they'd be able to get Shenmue on there just fine.
I don't know if it's a different relationship now with the new one. Okay.
No, I mean I don't know what the situation is with the new one, but yeah, with Shenmue 1 and 2, I think they would be able to do that. So yes, I think there's lots of games that you could put on there. Some that I would want to see that aren't as well known. I'd like to see Ooga Booga on there.
What about any of the light gun games? Now
and Armada.
You won't be able to get Virtua Cop. You won't be able to get what was that 007 type of shooting? Confidential Mission. You won't be able to get those, unfortunately.
No.
God damn it! Can we figure out the light gun thing for these new TVs?
Well, wasn't there a light gun that people were talking about recently?
Yeah, it's what the hell? Yes, but like I mean like a product for the masses, not like these Kickstarter things. There's not one that's like been. The technology has been co-opted into all these products yet. What the hell is it called? Light gun.
Sinden light gun or something?
Yes, that one.
Something like that. Yeah, Sinden light gun.
Yeah. So, but like they got to license this for their consoles though. That's the thing. I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. But because to me that's the last console that really was a light gun console, isn't it? I don't count the Wii. I mean, it's not really a light gun. It's a fucking control.
I mean, if you want to get specific, no, because it was an IR pointer. But that was the last system that had light gun games on it. That was the last system that had like Ghost Mission was put out on there.
For the Wii or the
Wii.
Yeah, but they're not. But it's a fucking attachment. You put the Wii mode in. That's what I mean.
I'm just saying that it's a light gun game. It's the same style of game.
That Nyko trigger was so hard to press on that for the Wii. That was like, for some reason, it was so the give on that. Sorry. Anyway, so that'd be a bummer to me. Obviously, it's not the heart and soul of the system, but the light guns games were good that Sega put out. I loved Ghost Mission on the Wii. I loved it. It was great. Yeah. Okay. If this comes out, I think, all right, you think $100 it'll do all right. Well, they are more modern games too, than a little bit more than the PlayStation. They're a little bit. So, get a King of Fighters on there, maybe.
They did have King of Fighters 98 on there, so yeah, they called it 99, even though it wasn't.
How dare they, Ian? How dare they?
It's really fucking stupid.
There were some trashy third-party games. Oh, there were some obviously ports like Tony's Hawk Pro Skater, but no one really thinks about Dreamcast and Pro Skater. God, the awful WF games. That's right. Forgot about that.
Royal Rumble was very, very bad.
that the one that was in the arcade? Okay, that was not fun.
It was interesting in the arcade for 5 minutes. It certainly was not a game that ever needed to be ported home.
How about remember those great ECW games?
No. They ran on the same Acclaim engine that Warzone and Attitude. Right
those games are getting reviewed right now for a certain guidebook. Those good old N64 Acclaim wrestling games.
They're bad.
They're not that good. Okay, well there you go. We'll see what this happens. Maybe a year from now, we'll see. And the good news is that obviously the emulation on Dreamcast is above a Saturn.
Yes.
So it's a little bit easier. And you think about, I kept going back to when they do a Saturn Mini. I think it'd be diminishing returns versus doing the Dreamcast, just skipping it and doing the Dreamcast. I just think the Dreamcast has more of a beloved statue, like cult status than the Saturn. I think it would just do a lot better, and people would enjoy it more. And the games are probably overall better in terms of the variety that you could get on that console.